Hello. I had little cloud on me there earlier. I'm gonna go get him. Hold on. Hey, buddy. Come here. There we go. Hey, buddy. Come here. Hi, Mr. Osgood. Welcome. I got little cloud with me. I'm gonna turn the volume off of this one here. See, he wants to say hi. He might vacate there for a bit. Oh, paddle, 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 paddle. Hey, buddy. Want to say hi to everybody? Today is your show, buddy. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Resistor. Thanks for coming. And Shannon, if you're there, thank you for joining too. Today's video is going to be on pigeons, aka otherwise known as skyrats. Mine is flying off to his fancy spot. He's got a perfect perch spot. I'm doing great. It's been a very productive day today. So I had to gather my thoughts for all of this. I got most of what I wanted to talk about done yesterday. So I was just kind of fine tuning it and finding other information and such. So if you didn't catch it last week I did about an hour and something on addiction and alcoholism and my personal story. So if you feel like checking it out, please do so. So I'm switching it up to something a little bit more lighthearted, I guess you could say. And today I'll be touching base on pigeons, aka skyrats. So I'll be going through the history and origin, some famous people and other pigeon fanciers that you might have heard of, my own personal story with pigeons. Hi, Shannon. Way, we could see you. That's awesome. Also, other pigeon parents that little Cloud and I know and that we've followed. There's also what to do in case you find an injured pigeon. Then I'll be touching base on some misconceptions, what pigeons have taught me, and finally open up the floodgates to Q&A. So that's what I have in store for this evening. It's been a very challenging weekend. It's been so cold here in Canada, like minus 43 the other day with the wind chill. So I had some pipe issues, sewage problems with my home, but everything seems to be okay so far. So less money to spend because that could get quite expensive. Problem is that I have 2 trees in my yard that could potentially go. Well, they're not about to die. It's just I don't want them to die. They're kind of cool. Well, one of them at least. My cricket tree, I want it to stay. Hey, how do you say that? Shadows? Shadows? Chateaus? Like a castle? Hello. Sure. Let's take a moment to get an opinion for shadows. I've got my coffee. Hopefully everybody else has something hot and warm to drink or cold, depending on where you are. A fantasia. Aphantasia? That sort of sounds familiar, but I don't know. Aphantasia. Let's see here. What does that mean? The inability to form mental images of objects that are not present. If counting sheep is an abstract concept, or you are unable to visualize the faces of loved ones, you could have aphantasia. Ah, gotcha. I don't know anybody who has aphantasia. I know somebody doesn't have the ability to dream, but that's pretty much it. Well, that's good. Jamie, you said that you know somebody who has it, so you're not alone. Can you hear? It says no sound. I could hear it on my end. I could hear sound on my end. I have my laptop playing with the video and I just have it on light, but oh, okay. Jake, Road to Nowhere, thanks for joining. So if you're just joining in now, 60, I don't get the whole 67 thing, but it's all good. We're going to have a segment on pigeons. So does anybody know what the origins of pigeons are? Anybody? Where they come from, why they're here. So the origin of pigeons is from Europe, Asia, Africa, and Middle East. Um, the original pigeon, you could say, is called a rock dove. They are from the Columbia family. And the typical rock dove looks like, your gray blue pigeon with the bands on the side. And it typically has like a little white spot on the top of their rump. Yeah. And so with that said, they were used, us humans, we've used them for food, as messengers, fertilizers as well. Like I said, they've been domesticated by humans, and there's approximately 1,000 different breeds of pigeons that are descendants of rock doves. So Little Cloud, my pigeon, I'll talk about his origins. Yeah, Noah's Ark. Yeah, they do. Well, they're called rock doves, but like HP, my white bird, she is a white Java dove, and she originates from Africa. And she is like your classic, typical white dove with a tiny, slender beak, and her eyes appear a little bit red in different lights. And she's a feisty little one. So pigeons are typically monogamous. They mate for life, just like certain ducks. Both parents in the pigeon relationship rear the children. So the male and the female will both take turns on the nest, brooding, and then they will each feed the children. They usually lay 2 eggs at a time, and so they will feed them. They'll regurgitate seed and what they call crop milk from their crops, and so that's what feeds the babies up until a certain age when they're fledging out of the nest. Yeah, I don't have HP available. She's upstairs. She is sitting on 2 unfertilized eggs right now. Yeah, I think they come directly from dinosaurs. I think they're all T-Rexes in disguise, really. So also from hatchling to fledgling. So from the moment they hatch to the moment that they leave their nest, it's a period of 30 days. And then it takes about 18 days from the time it's laid until the time it hatches. So with Little Cloud, I'll talk about it later. I'll reserve all of his story for a little bit. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining. Total Adventure. Thanks for joining. What are we wearing about? We are talking about pigeons and the bad rap that they have. And I hope that I could be able to educate some people on them because I have a pet pigeon. I've rescued a bunch. And so I'm going to go into everything about that. So the life expectancy of your feral rock doves, or like, the pigeons that you see outside, are typically between 3 to 5 years. And for domesticated ones like my Little Cloud, is about 15 years. But it could fluctuate. He's in pretty good health. He's a big boy. And he's full of character. The diet consists typically of seeds. They're omnivores, but they typically stick to like a vegetarian diet, I guess. They like seed, they like fruits and plants. Yeah, they do. I loved his grandfather, the way he used to dance for his wife. It was like the best. He was such a good dancer. See, he little cloud dances too, but not like his grandpapa. So, does anybody know any famous people that adored pigeons? Any guesses? Anybody you could think about? Hey, good night, Munchie. My mom is watching the game upstairs, but I'm not a person who likes to indulge in watching sports. I'd rather play them. Yeah, carrier pigeons. I'll be getting into some of those, some topic or some discussion about those. So, oh, princes, yeah. So Nikola Tesla, I don't know if anybody knows who he is. I'm pretty sure everybody here knows who he is, but he was a Serbian scientist or physicist, American Serbian. He spent a lot of money rescuing pigeons, and he really fancied them. He had more of a relationship with pigeons than he did with people. I think he had a famous white pigeon, and there's photos with him with that pigeon. I guess he liked them because he could relate to them because they weren't really, like he was like kind of outcasted in in that high society scientific club. And that's another story. So I think he could really relate to how pigeons were just maltreated. Charles Darwin also, he demonstrated artificial selection and evolution with the origin of species in 1859. I'm just reading right here what I had written. Breed various highly distinct fancy pigeons. He bred them and proved that all descendants of rock doves, like all descended from rock doves, and provided proof on how natural selection drives evolution. So I think that's pretty cool too. Um, he had a specific breed that he appreciated. There's some really funny breeds of pigeons out there. I'm part of the Canadian Pigeon Fanciers Association, and I get a magazine quarterly, and sometimes they have like pigeon shows in South Ontario, and I wish I could get the chance to go to one and also go with Little Cloud, as my little guest. That would be really cool. Egyptians, they also used pigeons as messengers. Not only as messengers, they used them as food, for food because they were a delicacy, and also used in rituals. And pigeons were also found on hieroglyphs as well and in tomb writings. So that's kind of cool. Um, Pigeons were also recognized in war, and some of them actually received the equivalent of the Purple Heart. So I'm going to go through a list of some of them, and I know some of you guys are not from are not from Canada or the U.S. So this, Jamie, this will be some interesting ones for you. My day is going pretty good, thank you, Double A. So we got President Wilson. I'll start with World War One. President Wilson, World War I, U.S. pigeon, noted for his speed in carrying message during the Battle of St. Mihiel. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Mihiel, Mihiel. Then there's Cher Ami. I think Cher Ami actually has been stuffed. Cher Ami was from World War I. This U.S. pigeon saved nearly 200 lives at the Lost Battalion in 1918. And it was a female pigeon who was shot through the breast and leg, also blinded in one eye, and still went on to deliver her final critical message. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's amazing. There was also another pigeon called Gunpowder in World War One. This one was the first American war pigeon. There was Dreadnought in World War One. That one was a British pigeon. There was also, and now I'm going to start some World War IIs. There was Beachcomber in World War II, a Canadian Army pigeon that brought the news Dieppe landings, there was White Vision in World War II, an RAF pigeon that brought a message helping to rescue downed air crew. There's a few actually that help rescue downed air crews that I'm going to talk about. There was Patty, World War II. This one was an Irish pigeon, and it achieved the fastest record time for delivering a message from Normandy to England. There was Commando in World War II. This pigeon flew for British military, delivered critical intelligence from occupied Europe. We have William of Orange in World War II, and these are all pigeons. It was a British pigeon that covered 400 kilometers. I don't know how much that is in miles. In record timing, that pigeon saved over 2,000 soldiers by delivering news during the Battle of Arnhem. Here's a female pigeon named Mary of Exeter in World War II. This one was a British pigeon, pretty resilient, injured 3 times by enemy fire in Falklands while carrying top secret messages between Britain and France. Isn't that crazy? There's a Winky. That's a cute name for the time period in World War II. That one was awarded the equivalent of the Purple Heart medal by flying 120 miles back to her loft in oil-covered water, allowing the lost crew to be discovered. Yeah, I think horses were also recognized during war. Some war horses. So there's also G.I. Joe in World War II. That one was a U.S. pigeon, saved over 100 lives by flying 20 miles in 20 minutes to Britain headquarters in time to prevent an air raid on a village. There is 2 pigeons from World War II, DD-43 and Q-879. I wish they actually had names, but hey, we all have numbers, right? These ones were Australian, and they flew under heavy fire on Manus Island to warn headquarters, saving American soldiers. There's Mercury. That's the name of the pigeon in World War II. This pigeon flew 480 miles in northern Denmark in 1942. There is a pigeon called Princess, and this one flew 500 miles from Crete to Alexandria on a special mission. There's Scotch Lass in World War II. This pigeon carried 38 microfilms or photos across the sea from Holland or to Holland despite being injured. So yeah, some of these actually were injured and kept going. Poor little babies. There's Dutch Coast in World War II. This pigeon delivered vital SOS from downed air crew 288 miles away. So all the pigeons that you see in Canada and in the US, those were all brought over by man. So soak that in. You know, we had all these pigeons during war as messengers, right? And they were very useful, but as soon as like technology and communication advanced, we didn't need them anymore. So just bye-bye. Kind of like how humanity treats the homeless now. Bye-bye. Now you're a nuisance, right? What do we do with you? So that's why we have a lot of pigeons here because of, you know, people just discarding them. You know, they were brought across on boats for food too. And some, you know, obviously get out of their loft. And so there's so many reasons, but the main cause of pigeons being on this side of the planet is on this continent is because of humankind. So that's a lot to think about there. So like I said, there's over 1,000 different types of breeds of pigeons. Some of my favorites are, his grandfather was an Indian fantail. And so fantails, they look like tiny little chickens with like a fanish tail, you know, that sticks up. Modena pigeons also have that chickeny body, and they're really robust, big pigeons. They're really cute. And they look like they walk around like a diaper bum. It's hilarious. There's the Jacobin, and the Jacobin pigeon it almost looks like it's wearing like a long petticoat with like a popped collar. So all of its feathers crest upwards around its head. They're amazing. They're so cute. And if I could get him a girlfriend, it would probably be a Jacobin or a frillback. A frillback pigeon is adorable. It has really beautiful frilly feathers on its back. Really, really cute. Small little beak. There's the German owl pigeon, and those ones have a little crest that pop up here, and they're small and they have a cute little beak. There's a pigeon parent that I'll be talking about. They have a pigeon named Sophie from the Netherlands, I believe. And they have a channel on YouTube. They also can be found on Twitter or X, and any platform. Masha is a Modena pigeon, and I'll be talking about her. I got some information written down from all of them as pigeon parents. There's the powder. The powder is very interesting to look at. They look very abnormal. They're very long bodied and very long neck, and then their crop totally puffs out. I personally don't like those pigeons, like the look of them, but they're like, I don't know, they're prized. There are many different breeds. I'm not even covering most of them. Like I said, there is a lot of breeds of pigeon. His grandmother was a king pigeon, and those pigeons are very robust and big too. And those were used for food typically. So I always laugh about how his grandmother wore the pants because she was the king, and his grandfather, the fantail, was the princess. Yeah. So, like I said, there's many, many different breeds of pigeons. Let's see here if I could pop up another one here. Breeds of pigeons that I'm missing. Yeah, there's rollers. Rollers are really cool. You could throw them up in the air and they do these acrobatic flips just before they land. They're very, very, very cool birds. And it's all natural. There's also archangel pigeons, and those are really beautiful pigeons. I would like to get him a girlfriend. That's an archangel. Yeah, there's many different breeds from different areas too. Like there's Hungarian style pigeons, and let's see here. There's there's so many. Let's see if I could face my phone towards this so I could show you what a Jacobin looks like. I think they're very classy looking. Isn't that incredible? That's a Jacobin. Just imagine Little Cloud with a Jacobin girlfriend. I'll show you the frill back. See how its feathers are frilly? They frill up on its back. See, aren't they just adorable? And I'll show you a fantail. There we go, fantail. So they got the fancy feet. That one, its neck is like totally back. He's like, hey, I can't see my stomach. Yeah. You look like, oh, Modena pigeon. I'll show you that. That's another chicken-like pigeon. See? These are pretty big now. So I just wanted to give you some examples. Good dog. I cried at the end. No, I've never seen the horror movie Good Dog. Okay, so my personal story with pigeons. Hold on, I'm just gonna put my phone here and grab a sip. Yummy. Okay. So the first time I ever had an interaction with a pigeon was with this old gentleman downtown in the city. And he sort of looked like someone I know's grandfather who had passed away. Like, I mean, one of those doppelgangers looked just like him, but he was like the more active, fit old man. And his name was Dushan. And he used to always feed the pigeons downtown. And I was just like having a discussion with him. He's like, hold out your hand. And he put some seed in my hand, and they just started landing on my hand. And that was the first time I ever like got to interact with a pigeon. I was like totally sold. So from that moment on, in my hometown, and this is like in 2000 and probably 13, um, I would go around at night and I would feed the pigeons in the park. Like I would create patterns in the snow on top of the snow because it was like hardened. And yeah, I would create patterns with the seed. So in the morning they would get up and they would fly into the park and be like, holy jeez, it's food. But people would see all this cool little artwork at the same time. I don't know if I'm the cause of them creating a bylaw of not feeding pigeons, but it is said that it's actually better to feed the pigeons than not to feed them because as soon as more die, more will procreate. So you might as well feed the pigeons. So yeah, the relationship with pigeons started with Dushan, and then I would feed the pigeons in the park. And then when I moved to North Bay, Ontario, I was living in this building where the landlord had not fixed the soffits of the building, so there was always pigeons. Like I mean, there were pigeons all within the soffits. You know, they would fly into it and nest all in that. So I was going through a rough time. It was like close to Christmas time. I had gone through a lot, and I found a baby pigeon, like a fledgling, just almost a fit fledgling on the ground, and it was near Christmas, so it was cold. So I brought it in, and I'm like, oh my God, it doesn't look like it's doing good. So I actually drove an hour and a half to Sudbury, where I live now, to the only aviary vet in the area to get the pigeon looked at, got the medication, paid the bill, got back, and was trying to rescue this pigeon that I named Carlos. And on my old channel, All Anonymous or Leah Luna, I did post videos of Carlos, and he was just so cute. But unfortunately, Carlos didn't make it. And so I had buried him, and it really broke my heart, like little Carlos. About a week after Carlos um, left and took the Rainbow Bridge to the other side, another one fell out of the soffit, another baby, but this one was almost all white except for a triangle of black on its back, and it had almost like the eye of Horus. Like it was like this, and I named him Chicken Bum. Chickabum. He was adorable. And with the medication that I had from Carlos, I managed to rescue and rehabilitate Chicken Bum. And the day I was going to release him, I left the window open. I was going to do a little video. A little bugger flew out. And so I'm like, okay, so then I just took like a quick little video of him on the outside. But he appeared in a few of my videos while I was playing guitar on that last YouTube channel that I had in the past. So Chicken Bum became like the king of all pigeons because everybody's probably like, how was it? Are you okay? Did you get fed well? Like I could just only imagine in like pigeon language what they were talking about. But he became the pigeon king because of the experience. There was another pigeon that I rescued, and I named her Miss Molly, and she survived and she made it through. This one, I was on a walk with my dog Roxy, and I decided to take a detour from like behind a church, like taking the church parking lot to get to one street. Had I not done that, I wouldn't have seen the crow, the two crows on the roof, and I wouldn't have heard and seen things, right? So it's just funny how things work out. So I take that detour, and then I notice the crows, and then I walk by this house, and I could see feathers all over the place. I'm like, oh no, something happened. They attacked, a pigeon. And sure enough, here's this pigeon just totally lethargic, just like, struggling. And I pick it up and it's crop. So it was full of blood and open, like an open gaping wound. So what the crows had done, it pinned the pigeon on its back, and started pecking at its crop while it was still alive, trying to kill it, right? So I rescued it, and the only thing that I could do at the time is get some liquid bandage, and I liquid bandaged its wound up, and I bandaged it completely, and had to like feed it by tube, and it was releasable. So I released her exactly where I found her, and that's what you should always do with like wildlife, in case there's no rescue, like wildlife rescue around, is always releasing the animal where it was found. So that was good golly Miss Molly. And there was another couple of birds from the flock in my apartment building. And the landlord was so mean to those pigeons. I remember he was okay at first, but then like I guess he had a friend who had stored stuff in the garage, and there were some pigeons nesting in the garage because of course he doesn't close it up where nothing could come in. Paul, have yourself a good night. Thanks for coming on. And come back sometime. I don't just talk about pigeons. I do different segments and I play guitar. So there was this one time he was vacuuming up the nests, like I mean the babies and all, and I lost it on him. I freaking lost it. And you know what I did? I just like threw a bunch of seed towards his way on the ground. Just screw you, asshole. He's the problem. He's the reason why, like if you would fix the soffits, right? He was he was knowingly killing baby pigeons, If he would have fixed the soffits to begin with, they wouldn't be nesting up in there, right? I'm just saying, I think it's a user problem there. You have a rescued deer and a possum and a raccoon. Holy geez, you are busy. Animals are awesome. So I started with rescuing pigeons, and I'm like, so Chicken Bum was with me for Christmas that year. I just lost Carlos just before Christmas. Then Chicken Bum came into my care. Then good golly Miss Molly, and then a few other ones. And so I'm like, you know what? I think that this is my purpose in life. So I decided to look through Kijiji at listings for pigeon people that are selling pigeons. So I came across this lady who was selling fantails and had a flock of 18. And so I contacted her, and I'm like, well, I was wondering if I could, adopt a pigeon off of you, or a couple. And so she said, I do have a couple, and they're very sweet, and he's very attached to his woman pigeon. So I can't just sell you him on his own. You got to take both of them. I'm like, yeah, no problem, right? And so I guess she used to always bring that one into the house too, because he was just a sweetheart. And so that was his grandparents, Little Cloud's grandparents. Hold on, I'm going to go get Little Cloud again. Okay, so here's Little Cloud again. Hey, baby. Hi. Hi. Hi, baby. Hi. Hi, hi, hi. 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 Hi, Mimi. See, he's a sweetheart. Wasn't always like that. He could be pretty ruthless too. So he might go flying off. I have a feeling. He's looking for it. Maybe I'll give him some seed. Hold on. Snack attack break. It's my little tricks. That's his trick. You good boy you are. Good boy. It's my boy, babe. Okay. Time to get back to work here. So this lady, she had a carrier for them, and she handed them off to me. I gave her the little bit of money she wanted for them. And so his grandfather was almost all black, except for a little spot on his rump where it was like the shape of a heart. And he was the Indian fantail, the black Indian fantail. And his grandmother was almost all white, and she was the king pigeon. So it was almost like two pigeons on their wedding night. And as soon as they got to my place, they were immediately comfortable and they mated, and I let them have their eggs because in a sense, I kind of wanted to see the process too, right? Of because we don't really get to see baby pigeons on the nest, or we only see pigeons. Oh, he's going to take off soon. I feel like it. We usually only see pigeons when they're full grown. So I got to see the whole process of the pigeons being reared, being fed. And so his Monsieur and Madame were the original couple that I adopted, and they had two babies, a male and a female, and the male looks just like a little cloud, and his name is Aquila, named after Zeus's eagle. Excuse me, I'm gonna burp. Zeus's eagle that carries the lightning bolt, and Anka, which is the female name for Phoenix. And so Aquila and Anka were born in August 2021. And you can see it. He's going to take off. There you go. And so I had Monsieur and Madame and Anka and Aquila. And I had what I had done. Well, I guess I'll talk about like the setup and everything in a bit. So after Aquila and Anka, they actually became a couple, and I would like always be putting each of the couple's eggs outside because like it'd just be too much. So the crows and other birds like blue jays would, or raccoons, I know, right? Bye. would have a meal from the eggs right after they were popped out. So Little Cloud was born in Pembroke, Ontario, whereas Aquila and Anka were born in North Bay. And I kept Little Cloud, like Monsieur and Madame had babies between that time that Aquila and Anka were alive, but Monsieur kept attacking like the babies and killing them, and I'm like, oh man, it's heartbreaking, right? So yeah, having this little baby, putting it outside, I could just imagine Madame's feelings over it. But then Anka and Aquila laid an egg, and I'm like, the reason why I kept Little Cloud is because he was laid as an egg on my late son's death anniversary. And to me, it was like my late son, the phoenix rising from the ashes, because Little Cloud's mom, her name means a female phoenix. So I was like, wow, welcome Ontario in the house. Yes. And so I kept Little Cloud, and Anka and Aquila, they were first time parents, and they did such a good job at like, sitting on the egg, and I would take the egg and I would sing to it, and you could check and see the life of the egg and like how it's progressing by going into a dark room and putting like your flashlight on your phone on it to see the veins, and you could see the movement inside. It's really, really cool. So I would like pick up his egg and I would sing to Little Cloud when he was in his egg, and then he hatched on, of all days, September 11th. So he was laid as an egg on my late son's birthday and then hatched on September 11th. So he's like a double spiritual like yin yang pigeon rising from the ashes, I guess you could say. Very deep, but that's my life. And if you want to see some synchronistic stuff, you could go to my other YouTube channel where I touch base on so many weird Twilight Zone synchronistic uh, situations that happened in my life. I actually talk about the story of him. So when he was incubating as an egg, that's when HP flew into my care. So I have a video about that you could check out if you want. So I guess I talked about why Little Cloud is special to me. Like I said, he was laid as an egg on my late son's birth death anniversary. So like I said, he's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And what he brings to the world is something magical. So I bring him for walks all the time. And, I've had people come up to me and tell me, you know what? Seeing him just made my day. I was having the worst day ever. And just to see him is just incredible. So he brings joy to other people's lives. He is a good ambassador for teaching people about pigeons. So eventually I'd like to bring him to schools, when I have, maybe when, I don't think he'll be with us when I retire. I got 22 years to go from my job, but I would like to go to old age homes and go to schools and teach them about pigeons. That'd be wonderful. Oh, thank you. So I feel that that's what he brings is like compassion and teaches compassion and peace. He was part of the trucker protest where he became the symbol of freedom. There's also a video on the internet floating around. You could find, I'm sure of it, if you type in Pigeon Lady Ottawa trucker convoy. I'm pretty sure that you'll find it in a Reddit comment or in a video. But we were caught on the news. I surprised the reporter. I was dressed in this like rainbow dress and he was on top of my head. Yeah, so he's made the news. I try to get Little Cloud into like the community close-up news photos locally, but I don't think they really fancy pigeons too much. We're getting there. But Little Cloud has had 3 sessions with different Santa Clauses. So hopefully kids aren't watching right now. But yeah, the year he was born, he went to go see Santa in Pembroke. Then he went to go see Santa at PetSmart because I bring him to PetSmart when I go there to buy food and stuff like that. Or on his birthday, we have like a special mom and bird time together. And he goes to PetSmart and picks something out for himself. And so he went to go visit Santa for photos then. And then this year, Little Cloud and I went to go see Santa together and took some pretty funny photos. I didn't realize that my hand was on Santa's leg. I'm sure if you look in my on my YouTube channel, I did make a post. I did post a photo of Little Cloud with Santa, so you could see for yourself. It's quite funny. This year, Little Cloud and he's a good companion to actually camp with, and I do a lot of camping. I want to bring him on like a kayak camping tour this year to see how he does. I doubt that he's going to fly off from my shoulder if I'm like on the water. I just mainly got to watch out for predatory birds. Like where I go camping, there's bald eagles and owls. So that's one thing I'm just going to have to be mindful of. But he will be wearing like a harness and stuff like that, so definitely wouldn't be able to take off with him, but he certainly would get hurt. So it's like weighing out my options, right? But he did come with me on a 30-kilometer trek, like 15 there, 15 back this summer for my late son, his birthday, his hatch day, I guess you could say. And he did really well. He would let me know when there were animals around. He lets off this cute little like call. He's like, ooh, ooh. He did that for a bear too. My mom could could agree to that. He'll like do that to warn me of an animal. So he did that, and there was a rabbit. He did that when there was a crow above us, and then he did it again when we were following along a ridge, and I couldn't find it, but I'm pretty sure it was big because he kept doing it. So maybe it was, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it was, but he did do it. So I was just very mindful of what my surroundings from there on. So he's just like a dog in a sense, he alarms me when things are going on, and he never flies off my shoulder when I'm walking with him. He loves my shoulder. He absolutely loves my shoulder. So I love the fact that I have little Cloud. When I started rescuing pigeons, I had my late dog Roxy, and none of you know my dog Roxy, but I painted a painting of her. Looks just like her. She was awesome. I know that Jamie might have seen her in some of my old live streams on an old YouTube channel I had, all anonymous, or Leah Luna. But yeah, she's no longer with us, but she was she was at the beginning of my rescuing journey, and she was so gentle with the pigeons. She would never think about attacking them. I had bought her this like plush duck, and it was her toy, but it was like her friend. I taught her to be gentle with the duck. She would never shake it in its mouth. It was completely intact. Like Oh, you got an African gray. That's so cool. Yeah, those are very smart, but they last a long time. So you almost have to have them in your will. And yeah, see, stays on your shoulder. It's like they call that imprinting. They're imprinted to you. It's like you're their mate. Their safety spot is like, yeah. He loves my shoulder. So, if you where to get a pigeon and information. So if anybody's ever interested in information or getting a pigeon, you could go on Kijiji. That's how I did it. I would definitely do research on the person, ask them questions like, how many do you have? Can I see your setup? Because if they're not treating, it's like, a puppy mill, you don't want somebody who's got sick pigeons, or a sick animal. But you also want to report that if that's the case. So some good resources is Palomacy Rescues and Rehomes Pigeon and Doves USA. The website is, I'm going to type it into the chat here from my other YouTube name, all anonymous. So it is www.pigeonrescue.org. Rescue, whoops. So yeah, if you see all anonymous, that's me there. So you could look, they have pigeons that need rehoming that are not releasable to the wild. So you could adopt pigeons there. And this is in the USA. If you're in Canada, you can't travel with a pigeon unless it gets quarantined for 30 days and you have tons of paperwork. It is a pain in the butt because pigeons, when you're to the Border Patrol, they're considered poultry, which is bullshit. So for Canada, we have the Canadian Pigeon and Dove Rescue Adoption and Appreciation Group on Facebook, so you could check that out. In the US, there's also another group or a website you could check out. It's Great Lakes Pigeon Rescue USA. And of course, you've got the Canadian Pigeon Fanciers Association, which is CPFA in Canada. You could reach out to anyone on the board and they could offer you advice. They also have a list of members, paid members that sell different breeds. So you could look into different breeds through them because they are known and reliable sources. They don't have sick pigeons and they actually love their birds. So You could find out more information about pigeons by going to these different places, these different websites. There's, again, the Palomacy Rescue. There's a Canadian Pigeons and Dove Rescue Adoption and Appreciation Group on Facebook, Great Lakes Pigeon Rescue, and the CPFA, the Canadian Pigeon Fanciers Association. So if you do decide to get a pigeon, there are things to be aware of, like they've got, that fairy dust. So if you have allergies, probably not a good idea. But if they're very light allergies, then as long as you get like an air purifier and you clean their area, it shouldn't affect you too much. Especially if you're willing to take antihistamines. You also want to make sure that you have an avian vet in the area, like a veterinarian that specializes in birds, because something happens to your bird, you want to make sure that you could bring it to the vet, because not every place, it's very hard to find avian vets. So I would suggest that being your first order of importance, is making sure that you have a vet in the area that could take care of your baby in case something happens. His enclosure is a 3-tiered cat cage that I had bought off of Amazon, and I had bought an extra like hard mat, that like a tray that you could lay across. I don't need the hard tray anymore because I had separated the cage between his parents and himself. Yeah, it does cost a lot of money in order to rescue and help animals. I agree with you there. So you want to have a proper enclosure. You want to make sure that it's not in between too big, too small, where their head could get caught. You know what I mean? This is for indoors, of course. Now, if you have like an outdoors aviary, I would suggest like chicken wire, like chicken coop wire, because then you don't want rodents and stuff injuring your birds, or weasels, or any kind of predatory animal, because again, they're your bebés. So yeah, so I bought my enclosure off of Amazon. I just typed in 3-tiered cat cage, and it came pretty quick with Prime. Pigeon feed. In Canada, in Ontario at least, we have a really good, reputable source called Baden's Seed, and you could pick different kinds of feed for your pigeon. He's got a smaller beak. He's not like your typical longer beak on a pigeon, because he originates from like a grandfather who was a king pigeon, so he has that recessive gene from his grandfather, so he has a shorter beak, so he doesn't do good with the larger seeds. He's really picky. He's kind of like a devo. He totally is a devo. So I buy him Hagen pigeon and dove food that you could get on Amazon too, or if you have a pet store in the area that have bird seed, they might have it. It's a blue and yellow pack, about, I don't know, it's about like this big. Hello, Brock. Welcome. I am doing great. We're doing a little presentation on pigeons. My little cloud is over there perching. That's his favorite spot right there. Favorite spot. So, so speaking about perches, you want enough perches, but not like overbearing in the cage, but because they like to hold on to perches, or if you have a brick, because they like that too, having a flat foot or holding on to something. For him, I never find him on the base of his cage. He's always on his perch. And I have a cute little hammock for him hanging in the cage, and I have like parakeets and all that have those ladders. Sometimes I'll find him on the ladder, but he's not his dexterity isn't that like a parakeet. It's more like a wobbler. I use puppy pads, and I also use incontinence pads, for people that wet the bed. You have those pads. So my girlfriend who had, I think it was an African gray, she had those, so she just gave them to me. So I'm really grateful for that. So it's easy to wash. You know, you're not like always throwing out puppy pads and wasting money. So I'll just wait for the poop to dry, and then I'll just like kind of scrape it off because it comes off really quick. And so you don't have all this poop gumming up your washing machine, but I use a laundromat, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's easy to come off, and then you put it in the wash and have at it and good to go. Another thing too that they require is grit. So you can buy like oyster shells, but make sure it doesn't have many particles of black oyster, like in the oyster shells. You want to make sure it's kind of like gray and white. So now I'm going to tell you about some pigeons that he and I know worldwide. So Sophie's adorable. Let's see if I could get a photo of Sophie up. Sophie pigeon. She's adorable. Okay, I have to go get her on YouTube. I think Sophie is going to be 3 years old this year, or she has just hit 3 years old. Okay. So her parents made a really cool contraption, a harness, and I think it was bra straps, the first like model, and they have her on like a super elasticy leash, and so they let her fly in a field, you know, and she's well kept, and she is a German owl pigeon. You see how short her beak is, and she has that cute little, she has a tiny bit of a crest at the back of her neck. Cute little body. So you could find her on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. She's a very smart bird, and like they make 3D stuff for her, like very, very cool. So let's see here. Yeah, she actually, sorry, she's a Dutch pigeon, not a German owl, but looks just like a German owl. It's considered a fancy pigeon, but they're well capable of flying. As I said, they let her fly all over the place in the field, but like obviously harnessed up. She's with a permanent family. They love her immensely, immensely. Like this is their child. She provides them a lot of love and joy and laughter and love. She wants to be part of almost everything. So like she's very sociable, just like her partner or her parents. I mean, they say that she absolutely has to see like everything that's going on. She actually, I've seen videos of Sophie going for bike rides with her father, her human father. For them, Sophie is their child. She'll get all the attention, love, and dedication she deserves. She also caused him to go outside a lot, so she's actually gotten them to be a little bit more active, which is cool. Nature walks. They talk about some of the downsides of having a pigeon. If you guys could consider this as such. I'm just reading off what the parents had written me a while ago. So you do need to take into account that things like burning candles, using electric grills during Christmas, soldering, 3D printing, smoking, using crazy glue, so anything with like a heavy smell, are all things you are not able to do indoors anymore when having a pigeon. pet companion. It could be something small for some, but someone like them who deal with like electronics professionally, it does require them to change their work schedule drastically. But it's very well worth it, they wrote. Um, I asked them if there were any bylaws against having pigeons, and there are nothing. There's absolutely nothing in the Netherlands. I believe that's where they live. In regards to owning a pigeon. So they did mention that some landlords do have rules against keeping entire lofts of birds, obviously, right? On balconies or backyards. My mom and I had a bad experience with her landlord at the time. Well, this landlord was trying to kick her out anyways because post COVID, everything went up. Like the cost, like renting, the cost of an apartment went up from like $800 to $1,500, right? So the landlord was trying to kick her out because she was grandfathered in. And so he was trying to use any angle he could. So he was trying to evict us because I had a pigeon. But little did he know that he had all of his, his rings, and, he was well taken care of. They actually had the bylaw officers come over and investigate. And they were scratching their heads because they were under the assumption that I had a whole flock. And meanwhile, the apartment's clean, the cages are well kept, and yeah, so they got a little bit of a lesson on pigeon keeping and stuff, I guess, from my mom. I'm just reading what Goodnight Munchie wrote. You're Indian and live on a reservation. I could do that. What I like. There you go. Enjoy pigeons. Get yourself a fantail. They're great. So they write that pigeons are much smarter, intelligent than most would expect. It's very true. There's so many misconceptions. Sophie, for example, exactly knows certain routines. So they know your routines and even walk ahead of us in our home. When we are going to go do certain things, she knows that the doorbell sounds what it sounds like and what it means, and that they have a package or a visitor. So they're just like a dog, people have this misconception that they're stupid. I talk about misconceptions later. So that's Sophie. So like I said, you could check out Sophie on YouTube. You could check out her Twitter page as Sophie the Pigeon. There's another one, and that one is Masha. So Masha is a Modena, and she is a sassy, man. So she's an English Gazi Modena, and they are located in Toronto, in Canada. So they've had Masha at that time for 2 years. So I'm thinking that they've had Masha for almost like 5 years now since I got this information. When they moved in and settled in with their partner back in 2021, they had been looking into possibilities of getting an animal companion. While they were going through the options, a question randomly popped up in their head: why not a pigeon? So they love them like a child. I feel that British Columbia it means bring cash. Oh, thank you, Resistor. Yeah, check out Sophie's page sometime and feel free to subscribe to them. They're pretty awesome. I wonder if Masha has a page. I don't think she has a YouTube page. I know that Masha has, no, there is not a page on YouTube for Masha, but there is a Twitter page for Masha. I just checked and there isn't. She's quite funny. She has a Twitter page, and oh, she's hilarious. So what they say is they did some research and found out that people do keep pigeons as companions, and that was the thing. That's that was their selling point. So They started consuming pigeon care videos, doing their research and post like crazy in the next couple of weeks. And they wanted to make sure that that is if they wanted to adopt one or not, they had enough resources to give them the best of life. So, like I said, do your research, see if this is the right companion for you. Because Little Cloud has a mate with like he's like his little lover is HP, my white Java dove, even though they can't procreate, it's still his girlfriend. He's a little bit more defensive with me when they're together. So keep that in mind too. If you have two, it's good to have them as a pair. You don't want two males because I would suggest getting a third male if that's the case. My mother, she's upstairs watching some football. I think she has a bet going on with a neighbor. So how being a pigeon parent has enriched in their life. So they wrote, befriending Masha has made me and my partner appreciate pigeons a lot more than before. Pigeons are absolutely everywhere. And especially when you live in the city, like Toronto, that they're saying, or if you're from New York City. They live and walk alongside us, yet we never truly noticed them until we got Masha. So that's their testimony. They started seeing their lovely bird everywhere. It's like when you buy a new car and you see that car everywhere. So having a newly founded appreciation for pigeons also made us realize that just how dire of an environment that these city pigeons live in. Now that I know what a sick pigeon looks like, it's become easy to point them out amongst the flock of pigeons. There are a lot of them. We gain empathy towards these birds and coexist with humans, which made establishing some sort of pigeon sanctuary become a significant life goal for us. There's also another girl who I used to watch, and she rescued a lot of pigeons. She was from New Jersey. I just can't remember her name, but there's a dodo video with her. Let's see here. Dodo. Tutu. Tutu is the name of her pigeon. Yasmin, I think is her name. Tutu. Tutu, her pigeon. Yeah, this is. That's Tutu. She rescued him. See, it's in bad shape, that poor little pigeon, when she first found him. So then she went off to rescue pigeons, and she had a really good setup, but then she got shut down, which is really sad. So I hope that she's back into it and she's able to do this TLC for them. But Tutu's got a lot of personality too, and that it's a male, and see, just loves to hang out. So there was a gentleman also who used to rescue pigeons. His story was that he had initially it was accidental fostering that turned into a love affair. Growing up, they had a parakeet and eventually a couple of cockatiels. Then his love affair with them, with pigeons. He had friends who were members of a rapture education group, and he'd occasionally help. This led to fostering screech owls and caring for kestrels. I think kestrels are incredible. I would love to be able to have a kestrel, but I'm not a meat eater, so I don't know how I'd be able to feed it. I feel so bad, but I know it's just their way of life, right? It's what they eat. But they're quick. So he got a Facebook notification of a pigeon in a nearby garage, so he took him and kept him in an indoors cage for a few days and set him free. He promptly returned to the neighbor's garage. He got him again and put him into the back back in the outdoors cage, which was next to his home, and then wondered what to do. About a week later, animals tried to get into the cage, so he brought the bird inside, and that's when the magic began. So he had this pigeon that he named Pepper for a while. And then he had another one that he adopted, a girl named Boomerang. But unfortunately, in 2020, he got a really bad bout of COVID and was hospitalized, and he had to get a lung biopsy done that confirmed that he had hypersensitivity pneumonitis, and it's also known as bird breeder's lung. So he had to rehome the pigeons. So that I'm giving like another on the flip side of things. No, I don't eat meat anymore, but I used to. I used to be a big meat eater. So this individual lives in the suburb of Chicago. So I just wanted to give you guys like, a story from different people all over the place. The Netherlands, then you got like Chicago, then you got Toronto, New Jersey. I just showed you Jasmine or Yasmin and Tutu. So when I first started doing research into pigeons, she is who I looked up a lot to, and she's just got a good soul to her. So there's also a pigeon you could check out on YouTube, and this pigeon, his name is Benny, Benni, Benny the pigeon, and that pigeon looks just like Little Cloud's grandfather, but with white eyes instead. I mean, Monsieur used to love to get pet, and this pigeon likes to be just like the smackdown. Like, you know how cats like their butts smacked like at the back? That pigeon just loves it. So when Little Cloud was born, I rehomed Monsieur and Madame with with a boy who was getting into homing pigeons, and he was getting um, uh, taught by a gentleman who was into fancying pigeons as well. So I knew that he was well educated and he was well on his way to doing a good job. So I rehomed Monsieur and Madame, his grandparents, with this young man. And then I rehomed Aquila and Anka with a young girl who had raised a pigeon, and that pigeon passed away. So she wanted to have a couple, and she fell into, my Kijiji ad looking. And so I reached out to her and let her know that I had a couple. And so she took them in, and she would keep in touch with me and let me know how the birds were doing. And she would let me know that she's trying to get them to home and fly, and like little by little, right? Because it's a process to homing pigeons. So by this time, I just had Little Cloud. And all of a sudden, I got a call one day from this place in the middle of nowhere, just outside of Ottawa, called Apsley, Ontario, from the fire hall. And they're calling to let me know, we found your pigeon. I'm like, no, you didn't. Oh, yes, we did. The band on its leg is back. It's like tracing it back to you. And then I'm like, oh no. I'm like, who is it? Is it Anka or is it Aquila? Because I never banded Little Cloud. I put on bands after the fact. Anka and Aquila, I actually got the bands from Canadian Pigeons Fanciers Association for the year that they were born in 2021, and he was born in 2022. So I was like, oh no, because I'm like, at that point, I'm like, oh, I can't have two male pigeons at the same time. So it turned out it was Aquila, and he looked malnourished. He looked like he's been outside for a while. So I don't know if a predatory bird kind of chased off. I don't know what happened, but I couldn't get in touch with the girl afterwards. So I was like, what am I going to do with two male pigeons, right? So I deliver mail, and I was delivering mail on this one route that week because I was like jumping from route to route. And I ended up having a conversation with this gentleman, and out of the blue, he just starts talking about how he had a rescue pigeon and he recently had to put it down. And I didn't mention anything about pigeons. I was like, this is God kind of like setting me up here for Aquila to have a new home. I'm like, well, Wouldn't you know, I don't know if it's too soon yet, but I do have a pigeon to rehome and he's domesticated. So he gave it some thought and he said yes. And at that time I had like an outdoors aviary that I built. So I gave that to him as well. And I still keep in touch with this gentleman to this day. We send each other photos of my other son, his father, and I send him photos of little Cloud, and I sent him a little costume that he could wear, like, you know, they're called pigeon pants. I'll show you what those look like in a bit. So, oh, yeah, that's one thing I forgot. I guess I could show you guys. So if you get a pigeon or if you're ever interested, you could go on Etsy. Like I find that there are a few people on Etsy that sell what you call pigeon pants. And so what it is, it's a diaper that doubles up as a harness, and there's a little ring on the back that you could, you know, attach like a leash to. So you could bring your pigeons for walks. So I had a little fashion show for Little Cloud there at Christmas time. So this is one of them. And I bought this off of Well Dressed Chick on Etsy. And they usually range between $25 to $35 each. This one, it's well fabricated. It's got a really good vinyl liner on the inside. The whole thing is vinyl liner. So it's so easy to clean. And so what I do is I take like a piece of paper towel and just like, you know, about that wide and, you know, the width of the actual paper towel, and I fold it in half and then I just tuck it in the bottom before putting it on him. I could actually show you guys how I change his diaper, but this saves your floors from getting pooped on. And so I change it like every 2 hours if he's out, and that's good enough. So that's that one. So I've bought him a bunch of different suits. I think he has almost one per day of the week. So this one is cute. It glows in the dark and it's got his little dinosaurs on it. This is my personal favorite right now, and it's Cinco de Mayo. It's totally badass like him. And I just bought this one. This one is from somebody that is in Latvia, and she had a really cute design. And this one's got mogwai on it. And this one's perfect for him because he likes to eat a lot. He likes to take baths too. See, this one doesn't have a liner like the other one, a vinyl. So like it will stain, but like I gotta wash it so it won't be stained. I've made my own too, but they fit Monsieur. So this is the first one that I bought. This one cost me an arm and a leg. It was from California somewhere, but it was for my rescue pigeons. It's got like a science like theme to it. And I feel like I'm missing. I made this for him, so when I bring him to work for Canada Post. I like this one too, because he's the bird with the bees. It's all glittery wings on the birds, and the one that he's wearing right now is camouflaged. So, you know, it's a little bit of an investment, but it's well worth it in the end. So then they could just like, you know, walk around and follow you and hang out. And so some of the misconceptions about pigeons, they, you know, one of them is pigeons are dumb. Well, you know, they can't be that dumb if there's been countless studies on them over decades. They can perform complex actions. As you know, there's been war pigeons that have saved many men in wars by homing messages across enemy lines. They are very self-aware, so he knows himself in the mirror, you know, unlike some other animals that aren't aware of that. They adapt well to their environment, kind of like all the pigeons that came across here and how they've adapted from rock dove to building sides and stuff like that, building their nests to keep surviving. Another misconception is that pigeons are unclean. I beg to differ. He's very clean. He's constantly preening, trying to make himself look good. He loves taking baths. So, if you find a puddle and you're a bird, you're gonna see like birds are constantly cleaning themselves. They're very clean. Yes, crows are smart and they will know you if you're a good person and they will tell their kids that you're a good person or not. So you better be nice to crows and ravens. They're very intelligent. Like they could solve puzzles, intelligent. So pigeons are a nuisance. Well, we've created that issue with pigeons by bringing them across in the first place. So we need to readjust our thinking, I guess you could say. Pigeons are spies. Well, some of them were, so there's a little bit of truth to that. There's a more recent story about a pigeon that was caught in a jail yard with a backpack on its back containing drugs. I wouldn't consider that a spy, but that's kind of funny. And another misconception is that all pigeons look alike. No, no, they not. They don't all look alike. There's so many different breeds of pigeons. So, and the fact that Charles Darwin used pigeons and finches, part of his study of the theory of evolution, uh, says a lot. Now, what pigeons have taught me is like patience and compassion. Uh, Especially when I was rescuing them, they gave me a whole different way of looking at life and how pigeons and especially the homelessness, and how people treat homeless and how people treat pigeons is one alike, and you can't judge a bird by its feather, so to speak, and how resilient they are. They're so resilient. Um, and their ability to adapt, it's incredible. I have pigeons that live across the street in like the corners of the roof. I don't know what you would call that. Where the pitch meets the horizontal. There's some pigeons that are living there, so I've been putting seed out for them because it's been so cold and I feel so bad for them. I wish I could bring them into my porch and be like, "Come on in, buddies." So I was wondering if anybody had any comments or stories of their own about pigeons, or if you have any questions. I'm going to read through the comments because it's been a hot minute that I've been discussing. I guess it's been about the same amount of time as last time that I did a live stream. Let's see here. I'm going down to this. Yes, I agree with you. Like I don't know if this is something that you see with obituaries, but they always like the ones here where I live. There's some people that get like a dove, like a white pigeon, in like on the cartouche of the photo, off to the side. So my late son had that too. So it's kind of funny how it all comes around full circle. Oh yeah, no doubt. I have to check out where that is, Dresden, Ontario. I am at a loss of where that is. I'm just looking at a map right now. Okay, let's see here. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yes, you're near Sarnia, between Sarnia and like Detroit, but on the Ontario side. You're near Chatham. Yeah, that's good that you guys feed them. I say, like I said, it's just better to feed them because for them to die, they'll keep procreating more and more than if you were to feed them. So you might as well. Yeah, I believe that too. So every time like I feed a pigeon, I'm always brought back to that moment with Dushan when I was feeding the pigeons with him. Like that moment, like made my heart melt. So Little Cloud is constantly meeting people. Every time we go for a walk, he's always like people are like, oh my God. Some people think he's an African gray or like, is that a seagull on your shoulder? You know, from a distance, right? Then he realized, what kind of bird is that? Because he doesn't look like your typical pigeon, right? I'm gonna go get him again. Hey, bud, come here. Come here. Oh, handsome sauce. Yep. Yeah, he doesn't look like your typical pigeon. Hey? Oh, oh, paddle, 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 paddle. I love holding him like this. He gets all comfortable. Hey? Beep, beep, beep. He doesn't like hands. Like every animal has their own personality, right? But he doesn't like it when you come at him like this. He's okay like this, but like that, he's like, no, I'm gonna attack you. And so more recently, he's been allowing me to cuddle him. So I'll hold him like a hamburger and he'll like melt right onto me where I don't even have to hold him anymore. And he's just laying on my chest and I'll just pet him and I'll like scratch his neck and he loves it. And sometimes he'll stand up and then he'll put his beak on my lip or on my chin and he'll be leaning into it to the point where he falls asleep and then startles himself awake because he didn't realize that he was falling asleep. uh Thank you. Yeah, he's quite the looker. It'd be cool to get him a girlfriend, but I don't know how his other girlfriend would handle that. I wish she would have her own little boyfriend like White Dove. And she's pretty special too, because like she came into my care when he was incubating as an egg. And the morning that I found her, if you didn't know the story, I also have like a YouTube video on my other on my other YouTube site that I talk exclusively about their story. But the morning that I found her, I was talking to a coworker who's also a letter carrier, but she does rural routes. And I was telling her about a poem I wrote in 2013 for some reason. I can't remember what we were talking about to lead up to that, but I was telling her about a poem I had written in the past and about how love flew away like a dove in the rain, but is finding home again. That evening, I get home and I go for a walk with my dog, Roxy, and directly across the highway from where I live, like I mean parallel, is a community mailbox where you could plug the mail into, like a rural route holder. You plug in the mail to one of those big boxes, and everybody's mail goes in it. Well, this little white thing came flying lowly away from it. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I caught it because it wasn't in good health, and it was that little white dove. So obviously I brought her home. And I had to I had to take care of her and rescue her and bring her back to rehabilitate her and bring her back to health. But those doves, the white Java doves, are not native to here. And so I don't know if she was somebody's pet or they had some weird little dove release. You know how people could release white doves? Don't do that. Don't do that. We already have enough problems. Don't do that, you know? So bad practice. So yeah, love flew away like a dove in the rain, but is finding home again. And here's this little white dove finding home in my care. So she's been in my care since he's been incubating as an egg. So that's all he knows, but I don't know what she knows. And I don't even know how old she is. But apparently, little white Java doves could last up to 35 years plus. So they're almost like parrots. So she could be young or old, I don't know, but I think she's a little blind in one eye. Uh, but she's well kept. Pedro killed birds. I let him fly loose, but he loves anything that walks on the ground. Pedro, was Pedro your, uh, is Pedro your African gray? I'm just going back on the comments now, right from the beginning. So Jamie's probably off on his live. And let's see here. I'll see if I could transfer some of my old videos from my much older account into this account. We'll see. All right. Aphantasia, we got that. We do have sound. I'm just going through the comments here. Yeah, okay, yeah. That's another thing about African greys or conures or macaws that are so loud. Pigeons, prrroo, poo, poo, prrroo, prrroo, you know, or whoo, whoo. He'll start going whoo at like 7 o'clock because he knows my schedule, right? And he knows I wake up at 7. So he'll start like whoo, whoo from the room. And right now, because it's winter here in Canada, and it's cold. In the summertime, I have them in my porch. It's a space that's 9 by 18 and it's full of windows. And so I have a nice perch. I put their cage in there. It's a good spot for them. The windows open so they could get breeze of air in, and people could see them too. And they all the kids like pointing at them and stuff. But right now, I have a spare bedroom in this 3-bedroom house, and they're in my spare bedroom. That's their room now. So it's like they fly to Florida and they're upstairs enjoying the view. So they got like some nice views of like the cedar tree in my yard, and they could have like little birds in there. I've seen blue jays in there and chickadees. So, and then they got a good view of the street, and it's warm. But yeah, they're a lot quieter than an African gray or parrots. Racing pigeons, yes. That's the same thing. It's almost like homing pigeons. So to train a racing pigeon, you start by a little distance, and then you slowly increase the distance from your home or from the location you want it to go to. And little by little, it'll just know the markers, where to go. They're very smart. Pigeons are very, very smart. Yeah, rest in peace to all animals that served in war. A Yorkie. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm like far in the comments here. Yeah, you kind of wonder, Paul, I know he's not here anymore, but if any of these pigeons knew what they were doing when it came to war and stuff like that, if they knew their mission or they're just like going for the sake of going, you know? Yeah, that's right. I guess I did touch base on the drug dealer pigeons. I don't know if there's any Arctic pigeons, penguins. Actually, I did see a really cool one that was white with like a red along the sides of its beak, and it was somewhere in Canada, and it looked like somewhere cold. It had snow on the ground, so I'm wondering if that's more of an Arctic pigeon. I seen it on an Instagram video. I was like, this is very cool. Thank you for liking, for smashing the like button. I think I'm almost rescuing animals as your hobby. I've rescued different kinds of animals. So I did the pigeons, and then I thought it was an injured raven, but it turned out to be a raven that was fledging. meaning it was just like it just left the nest. So it was like a full-size raven, but it was just too young to fly off because their feathers need to grow out a little bit more, right, in order to get that height. So this raven just like flew into a car that was parked, and I was like, oh my God, it's injured, right? So I brought it to Huntsville, which was an hour from where I was living, only to find out that I was just a young raven. But it came for the ride. I got photos of it on my arm. And I like the movie The Crow from the past. So I just like had a really deep connection to that. That was pretty cool. So then I rescued uh a fledgling robin that was just about to get attacked by a crow, and the mom's like bombing the crow, get away from my baby, right? And the crow's trying to peck at the baby bird. So I was just starting my mail route. I literally just got out of my cab, and the cabbie's driver's my late son's name, which is Aiden. So Aiden just finished, like he's just dropping me off. We're both witnessing this crow going at this, like trying to attack this baby bird while the mom's bombing it. And so I scare off the crow, and I have this little fledgling in my hand, and it was in shock. I'm like, you gotta drive me home before I start my route. So he drives me home. I put it in a cage, go do my route. Then I have to go on a hunt to get some worms, right? And by that time, the baby was like, seemed to be in better shape there, out of shock and stuff, was drinking water. So I called up the cabbie, the same cabbie. I'm like, hey, part two mission, let's drop off the bird. So he picked me up, and this is well after work. And so we dropped off did I say pigeon? I mean robin, baby robin. We dropped off the baby robin. We waited for it to call out to its mom, and all of a sudden its mom appeared. So I took it out, got out of the cage, and it was just so happy. The mom, you could tell that it was such a beautiful little reunion between them both. It was like the baby's like all excited talking about its day, and I'm so happy to see you, mom, and the mom's all happy. Then they just went flying off, like lowly, because babies can't really fly too high when they're fledging. So that was that experience. And then when I moved to Pembroke, the people that lived in the apartment building beside the depot that I worked at had four little black squirrels that were babies. Their mom got hit crossing a busy road. So I took them in, and out of four, there were two that survived. One of them was really, really sick, and another one died just unexpectedly. Just went to go check up on them. They're all good. And then all of a sudden I come back, and one's like in rigor mortis. I'm like, what the hell? So I guess it's normal. That's why they have so many babies. So I ended up releasing two of the four, and that was quite the experience, having these baby black squirrels just like using you as a tree and running around you, spiraling up and down. And they're so spunky, full of energy. And then I rescued two, was it one or two? Two baby mice. One of them got out of my cage, and the other one I released outside. His name was Spotamus Maximus. So the one that survived, I could hear it once in a while, and I didn't have the heart to like, kill it because I had rescued it. So I just let it do its thing. And then I rescued a baby chipmunk and released that one too. So it's quite the experience when you get to take care of wildlife. I have never rescued anything big like a Bambi or anything like that, or, but little critters. That's cool that you have a deer trail through the property. I used to have trail cams, and cool to see wildlife coming along. Bambi, Paul, and Norman wouldn't have survived. That's cool. You name them too. That's okay. I'm okay about talking about my son. Um, Everything happens for a reason. I know his energy, his spirit is still with us, and I have his phoenix rising from the ashes. That just proves it right there. So yeah, Resistor posted my Soul Sync Chronicles YouTube page, and feel free to check that out sometime. On my channel here, I do all sorts of different discussions. As some of you know, I do live stream concerts too. I got more retired chickens than egg-laying chickens. They become pets. Yeah, there's so many different kind of breeds of chickens too that are really cool looking. Yeah, poop is definitely part of rescuing wild animals. I agree with you on that one. Yeah, there's bylaws against chickens in where I live. It seems like everywhere is very expensive to live now. Oh, you're funny, Mr. Osgood. I've spotted the elusive pigeon in Oregon, allegedly, maybe. No. So I guess I mentioned about helping other animals and not just pigeons. Thank you. I think I'm almost at the bottom here. So you're mentioning that, oh, Mr. Osgood, you said that it's dinner time. I hope you enjoy your snack. I'm going to be eating some snacks too. My mom already had hers. She said it was delicious. I made Hungarian goulash, but I made it with, instead of like meat, like roast meat, I made it with Beyond Meat steak. It's like plant-based steak. I think it's like got like a mushroomy base to it. It's very good. I like it. So probably one of the best rescues was a snapping turtle. It got ran over and I tapped its shell back to to stay in my backyard before it even started taking food, got his strength back, and I was able to release. That is awesome. That's very cool. Maybe a little bit scary because it's a snapping turtle. But oh yeah, I've had some pretty close encounters with snapping turtles while camping. Okay, it's safe to swim here, so you're like, going all buckaroo in your birthday suit and then come back up and then you look down in the water, oh shit, like big snapping turtle. Yep, true story. Hello, Boggy the Pondweed. Nice to see you. Yeah, it's been a hot minute for sure. Where have you been? We just did a whole segment on pigeons and education on pigeons and why I have my pigeon and the different kinds of breeds of pigeon. It's if you guys have any suggestions for a live stream you want me to do, by all means, post it in the comment text thing or at the end of the video whenever it uploads, because I'm using my phone. So I find that when I'm doing a live stream from my phone, it takes like a day or so for it to actually post on YouTube, at least from my end of things. But if I'm doing it from my laptop here, it's like almost instantly. It's so strange. But in my description, if ever you want to donate to the cause, I do have like a PayPal thing in there or e-transfer. Uh, I'm not asking for anything, but I'm just letting you know. I've had people ask me because I'm not monetized yet. Still like building up my subscribers, I guess you could say. But yeah, all the information's there. Been everywhere at the beginning of the year. I was in California for a funeral. Came a sister got ill, and now I'm here at the shop alone with a $4,000 car that wants me to suffer. Wow, it seems like you've been very, very busy. I'm sorry about your loss. Yeah, well, I guess having such an expensive car, yeah, it would be it'd be something else. I know owning a house can be expensive. I thought for sure that I would have like a $15,000 problem to deal with yesterday, but so far it's been ruled out as okay for now. But I think that I have to get because this is an old home, it's like a 1942 house. So I do need to do some upgrades. So one of the things that I need to do is line my cast iron pipe for the sewage that leads out of the house, because to replace it, I would have to dig up my whole front yard and my driveway and possibly have to take out my whole porch. So it's just better to have it lined, which is guaranteed for life, and roots cannot penetrate it. And I have 2 trees in my front yard, one between my neighbor's place and my place, like my driveway, and the other one is in my front yard. And I really don't want to take out that tree because it's like got so much character to it. Wonderful. Well, hey, if you want to spread the word, start spreading the news. Feel free to do so. Good night, Munchie. I hope that you also have yourself a good night, sleep, and don't let the bed bugs bite. I hate that saying, but it's weird. But please don't, check your creases. Yeah. So, with no further ado, I think I am going to call it night 2. I'm going to go retrieve my little boy so he could say goodbye to you guys too. I'll be right back. Come here. And if you guys haven't seen it, there is a post on my YouTube channel where I ask for people's song suggestions, because the last stream that I did, my mom was willing to do karaoke. She sounds like a broken down wolf, but it's all good. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So put in your song suggestions. So Little Cloud says goodbye too, and he loves everybody as well. Hey, bud, bud. So I hope you all have yourselves a good evening or good day wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you for all those hearts floating right now. That's awesome. You're welcome, Resistor. So yeah, tune in to next week where I'm gonna dive into maybe talking about salt. Who knows? So if you have any suggestions, please put it in the comments. So he's taking off. I'm taking off. Some of you need some sleep, and some of you need hugs. I'll give you a hug. Okay. There you go. There's a hug for everybody. So have yourself a good afternoon and evening. Good night. And we'll see each other soon. Bye.